reach out to an attorney, someone who enjoys a good reputation, somebody who's worked in a lot of wildfires before and been successful in the litigation of wildfire claims, and talk to them.
Maybe you've heard a lot of differing opinions about the Dixie Fire wildfire in California and the effort to recover damages for victims of the fire. But where does the truth lie? Well, that's what we're going to find out right now, because that's what we're going to ask the lawyer on this episode. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com. My guest is attorney Alicia O'Neill with the law firm of Watts Guerra, which has been already started filing lawsuits against Pacific Gas and Electric to recover money for people who lost property in the huge Dixie Fire. Right off the top, I want to let you know, if you want to get in contact with Alicia or any of her team, the best way to do that is call the number that'll be on the screen when we talk to Alicia, and it doesn't cost you anything to talk to somebody. Alicia, thank you for making some time to answer our questions.
Hi, Rob. Thank you for having me.
So the good news is the Dixie Fire is 100% contained. The bad news is it burned a lot of acreage and destroyed a lot of properties. Where do things stand right now with the Dixie Fire?
You know, Rob, I completely agree. It's a blessing that on October the 25th, the amazing firefighters in California were able to get the Dixie Fire completely contained. Unfortunately, it had already burned almost 1 million acres of land and 1,300 structures.
Wow.
I think that, you know, there was also a loss of life of a firefighter. It's a very tragic and huge wildfire.
And your law firm, Watts Guerra, is participating, is attempting to recover damages for victims of the fire. Where does the litigation stand right now? Take us through that a little bit.
So the litigation is in the beginning stages of organization, just like with all of the other fires that unfortunately have happened, 2017, 2018, 2019. All of those fires also followed a similar track where you can file your cases. They are consolidated in a single court in San Francisco usually, and the cases are then handled all together.
And it's not surprising that there's a lot of conjecture online about the causes of the fire, even less surprising that a lot of it is completely inaccurate. So I thought it would be helpful to let you walk us through some of that and help us get to the truth in a lot of this. So let's just go through some of these. Some people are saying, well, it's the state of California or the federal government's responsibility. We've heard they should have cleared the forest or raked the forest, as we've heard, and therefore that's their responsibility. What do you say to that, Alicia?
You know, without having to weigh into whether or not it's important to rake a forest or for the state of California to do more or less, in this case, it just isn't relevant. A PG&E lineman called in the fact that a tree was leaning up against a power line in this case. PG&E knew that there was a problem. They knew where the fire started. They knew that they should have gone and maintained and moved that tree away from the line, and they didn't do it.
Well, that sort of leads me to the next thing. Is some people are saying, "Oh, it was started by a professor from the University of California, or maybe a homeless man, or an arsonist." Do we know that it was because of PG&E?
You know, I think that what you can do is follow the evidence, right? And that's certainly what CAL FIRE will do. And they'll come out with a report and say definitively that I believe that PG&E was the start of this fire. And it'll be based on the evidence that we've been speaking about today. The fact that a lineman saw this tree up against this power line, the fact that contemporaneously we knew where the fire started and that it was due to poor maintenance on behalf of PG&E.
The evidence is much more compelling than just somebody making up some conjecture.
It is. You know, I think that it's a good thing about having cell phones now and the ability to stay in constant contact. A lot of times, you know, defendants like PG&E put themselves in a bad place by communicating with each other but not acting appropriately.
Also, I'm seeing, Alicia, somebody saying it's because of special interest groups like, say, the Sierra Club, that they tie the state of California's hands when it comes to maintaining the forest. What's your thought on that?
You know, it's PG&E's responsibility under state law to clear lines and to keep brush and trees a certain distance away from their lines. They have to, by law, do that. There isn't anyone stopping them. In fact, the entire state is compelling them to do so. They get fined for not doing it. They end up having criminal cases filed against them for not doing it when they cause fires because of it. Every single thing about that law compels them to do it, and nothing stops them from doing it.
What about the homeowners, the people that have lost the property? Some will say, well, they should just have fire insurance and then they should recover from their insurance company. What about that argument?
I would say two things to that. First, I think that it's reasonable to think that insurance should cover all of your losses in a fire. Insurance is for accidental fires. It's for when there is no bad guy who burned your house down, right? That's why we all buy insurance. We're thinking about a lightning strike or something like that. We're not thinking about somebody in some, C-suite somewhere who decides they're not going to properly maintain their lines and burn your house to the ground and all of your neighbors' houses to the ground. When you think about insurance, we have to make a bunch of speculative guesses, what our house is worth, what our property inside of our home is worth. And what you'll find is that when you lose everything and you go back to try to value your personal property, your antiques, your jewelry, your home itself, that most of the time it's been grossly undervalued by insurance and you can't rebuild it for the price that you had insured it for, and you can't replace all of your personal property for the insurance amount that you get for that. So when you have this huge delta between what insurance pays you and what a company like PG&E, the damage they've done, it's only their responsibility. It's only right that they pay for that difference.
That makes perfect sense. You mentioned earlier that unfortunately this is not the first wildfire in California where there's been cases. Some people are saying, well, there's still people from those earlier wildfires that haven't received compensation. Address that a little bit about why it takes so long to receive compensation and maybe why some people, victims of wildfires, are able to sue and others aren't. Touch on that a little bit.
Sure. I think that a lot of times people are thinking about the 2017 and 2018 wildfires where PG&E went through a bankruptcy through Chapter 11, and then the bankruptcy court is administering the trust. That's 70,000 people who have filed claims in a bankruptcy trust and are being paid out. They have made payments to about 1/3 of the people who have filed claims with the Fire Victim Trust, and they will continue to do that until they've paid 100% of them. For the folks who were back from 2017, obviously that's been a little wait for them, and a lot of it was litigation through a bankruptcy court. For the folks in 2018, they're being paid at the same time. We're actively working up our cases from 2019 and 2020, and obviously we'll do the same for the Dixie Fire in 2021, in the same way that we learned to work up cases in 2017 and present them to PG&E and push for a settlement.
So ultimately, Alicia, what's your advice for victims who have suffered losses because of the Dixie Fire?
My advice for victims who have suffered any kind of a loss because of the Dixie Fire would be to reach out to an attorney, someone who enjoys a good reputation, somebody who's worked in a lot of wildfires before and been successful in the litigation of wildfire claims, and talk to them. Let them know your concerns. Ask them every single question you want to ask them. If you come to us and you ask us all the questions we've been discussing today and 100 more, we're going to be able to explain it to you in a way that'll make sense and in a way that'll allow you to truly weigh your options. Certainly my clients from 2017 who have been waiting to be paid and are getting paid now, and from 2018 too, they had the same questions and concerns as you do when they started out. And I can promise you that they are very happy that they filed their claims, because now they're able to actually rebuild their homes and their lives with the money they needed to do that.
Lots of really helpful information. Thank you for clearing up some of the misconceptions for us. Thank you for the work that you and your team are doing and for making some time to answer our questions today, Alicia. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rob.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been attorney Alicia O'Neill with the Watts Guerra Law Firm. Remember, if you want to talk to Alicia or a member of her team, you just call the phone number on the screen, 707-260-1999, and they can walk you through the process, and it doesn't cost you anything to talk to someone. Thanks for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with Ask the Lawyers.